Today, we're heading into the kitchen, but we're not just going to look at it as a place for art and creativity. Nope, we're going to treat it like a lab. Because, to really truly master the kitchen, you have to get the science behind it. The science of keeping your food amazing and your workspace totally safe.
So let me just kick things off with a question for you. Whether you're a pro chef or you're just cooking dinner at home, what are the two absolute biggest enemies you face every single time? Just think about it for a sec.
You got it? It's time and danger. Time is that constant ticking clock of spoilage, always trying to reclaim your ingredients. And danger? Well, that's the constant risk of accidents. Everything from a small cut to a serious burn that can happen in the blink of an eye. Seriously, pretty much every rule in the culinary world is designed to fight one of these two things.
So we're going to tackle these two head-on. We're going to break down the science behind them so you can go from just, following a recipe to actually understanding and controlling your entire kitchen environment.
Let's start with enemy number one, time. We're going to build a whole strategy for winning this war on spoilage. And our absolute best weapon in this fight? It's the ancient, brilliant science of food preservation.
Now, food preservation isn't some single magic trick. It's a whole playbook, a collection of methods all designed to keep food safe and delicious long after it's been picked or prepared. And these techniques fall into a few big categories: physical, chemical, and even biological methods. Let's dive into the physical methods first. The main idea here is pretty simple. You manipulate the environment, mostly using temperature, to either slow down or just completely stop the little microorganisms that cause food to spoil. And this is where we find some very familiar techniques.
First on the list is pasteurization. You know that carton of milk in your fridge? This is why it lasts. The process uses a fairly mild heat for a short burst of time and then cools it down super fast. The goal isn't to kill everything, but to knock down the number of harmful germs to a safe level. This makes the product last longer without totally changing how it tastes.
Now, on the other end of the heat spectrum, you've got sterilization. This one turns the temperature way, way up. It uses incredibly high heat to get rid of basically all microorganisms. This gives food a much, much longer shelf life. But yeah, that intense heat can sometimes change the flavor and the texture.
And this right here really shows you the trade-off. Pasteurization is all about balance, keeping the original qualities of the food like you get with fresh milk. Sterilization, though, is all about that shelf life, which is why UHT milk can sit in your pantry for months. They're two different tools for two completely different jobs.
Okay, so beyond just playing with temperature, we've got chemical methods. And before you start thinking of a science lab, remember, a lot of these are natural things that people have been using for centuries to make food an unfriendly place for spoilage to grow.
And here are some of the all-time classics. Curing ham with salt, using sugar to preserve fruit, marinating with acidic things like vinegar or lemon juice, pickling vegetables. All of these work by making the food inhospitable to bacteria. It's literally chemistry you can taste. The playbook gets even more interesting when you start combining methods. What we call physico-chemical methods, like smoking, use both heat and the chemical compounds from the smoke to preserve foods like fish or sausage. And then there are biological methods, like fermentation, using good microorganisms to transform foods like yogurt or vinegar, which preserves them naturally. Pretty cool, right?
All right, so we've got a game plan for time. Now let's pivot and talk about our second enemy, danger. A delicious meal means nothing if you get hurt making it. Mastering a safe workspace isn't about being scared. It's about having a system.
And the system for a safe kitchen is actually a simple three-step loop. First, you identify the things that could go wrong. Second, you put measures in place to prevent those things from happening. And third, you constantly monitor to make sure those measures are actually being followed. It's just a cycle: awareness, action, and review.
So, what's the first risk we need to be aware of? Well, it's the most obvious one, and probably one of the most common sources of injury in any kitchen: sharp objects. Knives are absolutely essential tools, but man, they demand respect. Preventing cuts isn't about being afraid of knives. It's about mastering how you use them with proper technique and just being constantly aware of where that blade is and where it's going.
These rules have to become second nature, like breathing. Always pass a knife handle first. If you have to walk with one, point is down. And for the love of everything, never try to catch a falling knife. Just jump back. These aren't just good ideas, they're the fundamental laws of kitchen safety. Okay, let's move from the sharp dangers to the hot ones. The second major hazard in any kitchen is, of course, fire and the risk of getting burned. It's a danger that can hide in plain sight on a chaotic stovetop.
And just like with knives, preventing burns is all about vigilance. It's about respecting the heat, whether it's an open flame, a hot pan, or a pot of boiling water. Almost every single burn accident has carelessness as its main ingredient.
So keep kitchen towels and other flammable stuff away from the stove. Use oven mitts. Don't overfill your pans with oil. And here's the big one. Never, ever, ever throw water on a grease fire. These simple actions create a powerful shield. Whew, okay, so we've covered a ton of ground, from the microbiology of milk to the physics of a falling knife. Now, let's bring it all home and see how this theory translates directly to your kitchen table. Here it is, your takeaway checklist for real kitchen mastery. Use preservation to fight time. Use a safety system to protect against danger. Get to know your tools, follow the core rules, and always remember this: understanding why you're doing something is what takes you from being just a cook to being a true creator. So there you have it. You now have the scientific playbook for controlling the two biggest challenges in any kitchen. You get the principles of preservation, and you have the systems for safety. So the only question left is, what are you going to create?